Welcome to Codex, a history of video games. I'm Mike Coletta.
And I'm Tyler Osby.
And today we're going to talk about some side games in Metal Gear.
Metal Gear.
Metal Gear. I still can't say it right. It bothers me that I can't say it right.
Well, when you play the games, you'll hear it, and then it will just become ingrained in your brain as to how to say it.
You're saying Metal Gear here.
Yeah, Metal Gear.
Got it. I'm going to do that with any kind of gear.
Trying to think of like some other kinds of gears.
Gears of War. It's fun to do.
War Gears.
I'm into it.
Okay, so if you thought we were done with the Metal Gear saga on this show, think again. This week, I'm going to dive into a few side games on the franchise, and then maybe I'll do Metal Gear Solid 4, or maybe I won't. We'll see.
Who knows?
I'm not doing it today, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So these games that I'm going to talk about are all Metal Gear games, but some of them are of different genres. Some of them aren't even canon. So if you're playing Metal Gear for the story and you care about the story, some of these don't count for the storyline. Okay. Some of them are canon, though, and so those ones are very important and worth playing through. So if you're interested in getting as deep into the Metal Gear lore as possible, those are the ones you want to play. I'll let you know which ones are canon, let you know which ones aren't as we move through them.
I love that that Metal Gear has a strict take backsies on these games on whether they're canon. Like they have them come out and they're like, not canon. Is that how it worked?
Yeah. Like the Metal Gear Acid series, never canon, never was canon. They put it out there and they were like, these aren't canon, no one cares.
No one cares about acid.
I skipped them and I really shouldn't have. But the first game on the list, we talked about it before. We talked about it when we talked about the beginnings of the Metal Gear franchise, is Snake's Revenge.
Oh, I remember this one.
Yeah, so this one was a North America European exclusive for the NES, and it did not involve Kojima in its development at all. So because of this, he's been known to be a little bit salty about the game, especially back in the day when it was made without him. These days, though, he's lightened up a little bit. He's like, oh, it's faithful to the Metal Gear concept and, quote, not a bad game. So he's gotten over it a little bit, but he was salty for a little while over them making a Metal Gear game without involving him. So
that makes sense.
I would be too, especially when you're an auteur like Kojima, where you have to have control over the process from start to finish, and the whole thing is just like a perfect representation of your vision. I can understand being upset if they just went and made something without you and like basically didn't tell you, especially while he was making Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. So I don't know, but the plot, which is not canon once again, involves Lieutenant Solid Snake taking a team back into the jungle to defeat another Metal Gear. There's some twists and turns, some double crossing, but it all ends with Snake fighting a cybernetically enhanced big boss, because this was the late 80s or early 90s, can't remember exactly when this game came out, and cybernetically enhanced things were the cool way to go.
Oh yeah, isn't that like Super Shredder, right?
Yeah. Kind of like
cybernetically enhanced, yeah.
Yeah. The game came out in 1990. Sorry, April 1990 in North America, and then 2 years later in Europe. So,
is that our birthday month? That's our birthday month.
It is our birthday month. April.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So they succeed in defeating Mecha Big Boss, and then the UN declares World Peace Day because apparently it was such a success and so visible that it was worth making a whole day out of. Some stealth mission you got there, Snake.
Some nice stealth stuff you got going on there, Solid Snake.
Everyone knows about it. Anyway, this one isn't really worth playing. The gameplay is okay. It's a lot like the MSX and NES Metal Gears that came out before it and right around the same time as it, but it's not a real Metal Gear story, and it wasn't made by Kojima. So if you're trying to play, if you're playing all the Metal Gear series, but you're being frugal and making sure you only want to play certain ones that are worth playing, you can skip this one. But if you did play it and you loved it, please let us know. I would love to hear your experience with Snake's Revenge. Okay, so that's Snake's Revenge.
I felt like that was really good the way you just covered it just now. I really liked it.
Oh, thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
So next on the list here is a little game called Metal Gear Solid.
Wait, what? Isn't that a big game?
For Game Boy Color. There's a Game Boy Color Metal Gear Solid. This one was also called Metal Gear Ghost Babel in Japan. So this game is another standard Metal Gear, like 2D game with a top-down perspective, lots of stealthing. It's not canon, so it takes place in an alternate timeline 7 years after the first Metal Gear, and much of its gameplay is an evolution on the MSX and NES games that came after it in the storyline. So since it's an alternate timeline, it's not really canon, but it's a fun diversion anyway. It's a 2D stealth game with some really nice additions. For one, the game screen now scrolls with you as you move through the levels instead of like flipping over once you get to the edge of the screen. Excuse me. So you can also move in diagonals in Ghost Babel as opposed to just up, down, left, and right in Metal Gear 1 and 2.
That
and
just
now,
opens up the whole world to you to move in diagonal.
4 more directions. You can move twice the directions. It's crazy. So you can also do some stuff that they introduced in Metal Gear Solid, like pushing up against walls and like knocking on the wall to distract guards and bait them into bad situations. So, because it came out in 2000, so it was a couple of years after Metal Gear Solid, but before Metal Gear Solid 2. So, this was one of the first Metal Gear games to be broken up into stages instead of just having kind of one sprawling long game. There was like each level had a beginning and an end, and when you got to the end of the level, you got a grade on the level, and it would tell you basically how well you did. This was the first game that did it, but most of the portable games in the series after it would also do something similar, and it's something that I really, really appreciate playing the games like the Portable Ops series and Peace Walker, and then Metal Gear Solid 5 actually does it also, even though that's not a portable game. It also breaks up into that sort of mission format, which I really like.
That's nice because then you can see where your progress is. You know, you can go on the internet and figure it out.
Yeah. It also makes it a lot easier to play on the go, too, because you know where the start and end is. And if you put it down and come back to it later, you know right where you are in the list of missions. And you can go, oh, okay, here's the ones I've already done. Here's the one I want to do next. And then you can just click on it and go. So that's really, really nice and good for portable gaming. It's also got a multiplayer mode.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. I didn't think they would do that for a Metal Gear Solid game.
Well, they do, and they do it a lot later on too, but you need 2 Game Boys, 2 copies of the game, and a Game Link cable. But it's like this cool battle mode where each player is like trying to recover discs from the other player, but you're invisible until you enter the other player's vision cone, which I think is pretty neat. So it's like sneaking around, trying to keep each other from getting your discs and getting the other person's discs, and it seems cool. I've never played it, but it sounds fun. So it was probably cool for killing time with your sibling while waiting in an airport or something. I could see me and my little brother sitting there playing some Metal Gear on our Game Boys. This game was also rated E for everyone, which was useful because most of the games were not rated E. So that's nice, I guess. If you had parents that were keeping you from buying mature rated games like I did.
Yeah, they don't want you to have that mature content. Understood.
Right. There's a fun Easter egg on your second playthrough of this game. If you tune to codec frequency 140.07, you'll get pieces of a radio drama on each stage. And it's like a funny kind of comedic satire, like about an agent who's like trying to bring down this corporation that keeps selling useless products. So you don't listen to it, you will read it. But in 2007, they released the radio drama on CD, and Kojima plays the lead role. He also did it on his podcast as well. I never listened to it, but I bet it's pretty good. Probably seems fun.
Wait, Kojima has a podcast?
Yeah, I guess so. I learned about that today too.
Interesting.
Yeah. So what's really funny, well, I don't know if it's funny, but what's really cool about Ghost Babel is critically the game was amazing. IGN gave it a perfect 10 out of 10, and a lot of other review outlets also gave it like really, really good reviews. It's apparently just like a super awesome Game Boy Color game that's super duper fun. So it makes me really want to go back and play it.
That's very impressive.
Yeah, it makes me feel like I need to go back and get this one for the collection, you know? I didn't know it was so well received. I knew it existed for a long time, but as soon as I heard that the story wasn't canon, I was like, nah, I don't need this. But it sounds like it was a really fun game on its own. So
that's cool. Hey, you know, if it works, it works.
Yeah. So the director of that game, Shinta Nojiri, would go on to direct our next set of games, the Metal Gear Acid series. And that's acid with an exclamation point instead of an I.
Metal Gear Acid. Is that how you say it?
Yeah. I don't know how you would pronounce it.
Acid. Because you got to have the I. I think so.
Yeah. That sounds right. Metal Gear Acid was a release title for the PSP around the world, and I think it might have gotten lost in the shuffle because there were so many great PSP launch titles. You got Luminous, Tony Hawk's Underground 2 Remix, Spider-Man 2, plus a whole slew of sports titles meant that gamers were pretty well taken care of when they bought their PSP. But Metal Gear Acid was also on that list. The other thing about Metal Gear Acid is that it has almost nothing to do with the series as a whole. The story isn't canon, and the gameplay isn't really the same kind of stealth gameplay that you're used to in other Metal Gear games. Metal Gear Acid is a tactical RPG mixed with a collectible card game.
That seems bonkers to me.
Yeah, that sounds like a really weird combination of genres. At the time, I wasn't interested in either of those genres. In fact, I would say that I was anti-card game, and then tactical RPG just didn't really appeal to me. And then, so when I heard that it was that kind of game, and that also that this is a recurring theme here, the storyline isn't canon, I was like, I'm out of here. I don't need this one. I don't need this game.
If you all didn't know, Tyler plays these games for the story. He
I
likes
do.
the story.
I'm a big Metal Gear fan for the story, and if the story isn't canon, then I don't want it. Get it out of here. It's a waste of my time.
That's
Although it
right.
sounds like a lot of these games are still really, really fun.
I remember one
regardless.
time I was hanging out with Tyler and he was buying a pirate ship, and they're like, "Do you want the cannons?" He's like, "No, want no cannons."
I want no cannons. I need to have all the cannons.
Oh wait, you need to have all the cannons because you want it to be canon.
Yeah.
I messed up my own pirate metaphor.
I said, does this pirate ship have cannons? And they said, no. And I said, I don't want it. Get it out of here.
I need all the cannons.
I need all the cannons.
That joke was way better when you fixed it. Thank you, Tyler.
So I didn't play Metal Gear Acid either, but the storyline, even though it's not canon, it is classic Metal Gear. A group of terrorists have hijacked a plane containing a prominent U.S. senator. That senator is also a frontrunner for president, so he's pretty important. The terrorist group wants access to a secret government project called Pythagoras, which we don't know what that is, and they're using this plane to, if they hijacked, like to sort of like, it's like their bargaining chip to be like, yeah, give us access to Pythagoras, we'll not crash this plane, I guess. So in true Metal Gear fashion, though, that's not the whole story, and Snake needs to get in there and figure that stuff out. What's Pythagoras? Who are these mercenaries? And why did they use two marionette doll things to hijack the planes? What the heck is going on here?
It sounds
I'll tell you
really
what's
anime.
going on here. Yeah, it sounds super duper anime. I'll tell you what's going on here. Card collecting, deck building, and tactical RPGing. So
Sounds about right to me. I remember going RPGing.
me too. LARPing, tactical LARPing.
Tactical LARPing.
There are a lot of famous faces from around the franchise in this game, even though it's not canon. And then there are a lot of new faces as well, just for the story of Metal Gear Acid.
Quick thought. Okay,
Yeah.
LARPing, live action role play. So you're doing that in a video game. It's digital DARPing. Can we call it DARPing from now on? If you're just playing an RPG in a video game, let's call it DARPing.
Is that digital
Digital action role playing.
action
DARPing.
role-playing game? DARPing. Okay,
I'm into it. New
I'm in.
terminology.
great. I'm going to do some DARPing later. I don't know. It sounds weird. It sounds weird to say I'm going to go DARPing.
I DARPed for 6 hours in Skyrim yesterday.
You can't say that.
You can't say that.
So Metal Gear Acid also had a multiplayer mode, which sounds surprisingly similar to the multiplayer mode from Ghost Babel. Players build their decks, and then they have a sneak off. That's in quotes. That's what it's actually called, sneak off, where they try to keep each other from getting data diskettes. But the game is, again, it's a tactical RPG where each character has like a set of cards. I hope I'm explaining this right because I haven't actually played it. So you have a certain characters on the map are your characters, and they all have sets of cards that you've given them that are like move this many spaces or attack this person with this weapon or do those kind of things. So you end up having to maneuver around the map in tactical RPG style, and then you use your ability cards to like do your abilities, which is like kind of a cool combination of those two genres. And I actually really want to try it now because I'm into both of those genres now when I was not 15 years ago when those games came out.
Mario Kingdom Ravage really changed you, right?
It really did. It really, really got me into tactical RPGs. I think the problem I had with tactical RPGs is just the amount of numbers and stuff that you had to know to really, for at least for me, to really feel like I was doing a good job. And Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle just gets rid of all that. And it's just like, it has some light RPG stuff, but it's really more about the tactics. And I had a lot of fun doing that. And so that was kind of my baby's first tactical RPG. And now I'm playing Fire Emblem and stuff too. So
No, Tyler, I remember one time I was going with you to a shipyard to buy a pirate ship, and they were like, "Do you want any cannons?" And you're like, "I want all the cannons." And they're like, "Do you want any numbers?" You're like, "No numbers."
no
All cannons.
numbers. All cannons.
I fixed it. I fixed the joke just
Nice.
now, just for the
Nice.
listener. I'm sure they really wanted this too.
You just see that one was really burning you up for a little while, wasn't it?
It was. You know, man, it's going to burn me up even more seeing the dip in our downloads after that joke.
It's like, oh, we can see right where people drop off, and it's
And
immediately
it's right at the second canon joke, coincidentally.
Wow. we can't see that, so don't worry about giving your data away to us. We don't know when you stop listening. We don't even know if you're listening. We only know if you
No.
downloaded it. If you
We've been
download it and don't listen, that's as good as anything to us, I guess.
As far as I'm concerned, we have as many listens as we have emails, okay?
All right, Metal Gear Acid. The game got pretty good reviews, and it was especially noted for its like unique blending of card battling and tactical RPG. I haven't really seen that combination before this, and really since this game came out. I do remember a game that came out a few years ago called Duelist, which was kind of like a sort of Hearthstone meets tactical RPG kind of thing.
I think I remember that.
Yeah, I played a few rounds of it, and I remember liking it, and then not playing it again, and I guess it got shut down. So, sorry, that's my fault.
You stopped playing.
Yeah, but it wasn't really the same thing as Metal Gear Acid. It was still pretty different, but it was a similar idea of mixing those two genres. So, after Metal Gear Acid was Metal Gear Acid 2, or more accurately, if you look at the title of on the box, it's Metal Gear Acid Squared.
Ooh,
So
that makes
cool.
it way cooler.
Yeah. So Metal Gear Acid 2 revamped the graphics. They added like a cel-shaded aesthetic and generally improved on the controls and the gameplay, which is mostly the same as Acid 1, just upgraded a bit. So like I said, I haven't played either of them, so I can't get into a whole lot of detail about the gameplay itself. But Acid 2 came with an accessory called the Solid Eye, which is that's actually a thing it's the eye patch that Solid Snake wears in Metal Gear Solid 4. It's called the Solid Eye. But Metal Gear Acid 2 came with an accessory called the Solid Eye, which was like Google Cardboard, but way ahead of its time. So it like attached to the PSP and gave you two lenses to look through, and it gave you this like stereoscopic 3D experience. It wasn't VR in that sense where you can like look around, but it was more like a really, really high-tech Viewmaster. Remember Viewmasters?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it was like
That's
that. It was like
cool.
a really high-tech Viewmaster.
I'm into that.
The images would be half the resolution of a normal PSP game, so the 3D image that you got to see was really, really blocky and pixely. But I don't know, it's kind of a neat idea and sort of the proto Google Cardboard. So I bet it was pretty cool back in 2005 when the game came out.
Yeah. I'm not gonna get angry at them for trying something cool. That sounds neat.
Yeah.
A neat accessory.
That's right. So the game had nearly double the amount of cards as the first game, bringing the total to 565 cards. That sounds like a lot of cards and a lot of opportunity for strategy.
Ooh, it does. That's a lot to learn in my mind.
That's so many cards.
So many cards to learn.
Yeah. Metal Gear Acid 2 also had some connectivity with Metal Gear Solid 3, including the ability to take pictures that you could snap with the camera in Metal Gear Solid 3. That's an item that you can use in MGS 3. And then you could transfer them to your PSP and view them with the Solid Eye accessory in 3D. So that's cool. You could also watch some Metal Gear Solid 3 cutscenes in 3D with the Solid Eye too. And I think there were some like really like weird other things you could look at too. Like there's something, the Wikipedia article mentions like images of like Japanese models that you can look at too, which is like kind of weird, but you know, I don't know. It's 2005. It's a different time.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever floats your boat, I guess.
Yeah.
That boat full of cannons. Third time.
The boat full of cannons, no numbers.
We did it. Hit that air horn sound.
If anybody's still around after the first two, they just got the biggest payoff. Wow. So worth it.
Is payoff the right word?
Well, I mean, we're going to have to pay them off after this in order for them to keep listening. So
Yeah, it's one of the
probably.
few podcasts where we give you money.
Metal Gear Acid 2 generally got favorable reviews, even better reviews than the first game. So if you liked that one, then you'll probably like the second one even more, even if the storyline's about 6 hours shorter than the first one, according to howlongtobeat.com, which is one of my favorite websites when trying to decide priorities for playing games. Like, how long is this one going to take to beat? Howlongtobeat.com has every game. It always tells you how long it's going to take. And I find it to be generally pretty accurate.
You showed me that website, and I can't look at a game now without looking that up.
Yeah.
That's like my go-to site I check now.
It's important to know, because sometimes you don't know if you're starting a 50-hour epic RPG or if you're starting something that you can get done in a sitting, You never
I feel
know.
like as an adult gamer, it's all about time management. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
And that's why I was really into those games like Inside, where you could just play them for like 4 hours and be done.
Yep.
Sick.
That's why I love Journey. Journey takes like 2 hours to beat probably, and it is so good.
I never played it again. Don't have a PlayStation. Feel so bad about it.
It's on PC.
Oh, it is? Well, I'll pick it up on
came
there.
out on Steam a little while back, so it's worth checking out.
I'm into that.
So, to be honest, though, the Metal Gear Acid series are games I've never played in the Metal Gear series, so I hope that I did an okay job discussing them. But I didn't play them because, like I said, I only play things that have cannons, and there were no cannons in any of the Metal Gear games that we've talked about so far. No cannons. So those are all fun side games with no real place in the story. But let's get back to Solid Snake and Big Boss. We got another PSP game, Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops. This is a game I played, and it's super duper fun. Portable Ops came out on the PSP in December of 2006, so not too long after Acid 2 had come out, like a little more than a year after. The difference here, though, is that Portable Ops eschews the card-based tactics of the Acid series and takes us back to the roots of Metal Gear Solid, sneaking missions. And it takes us back to the storyline we were following along as well. Remember in Metal Gear Solid 3, when we last left our main character, Naked Snake, who is now Big Boss. That's kind of spoilers, but I don't know if we talked about this before, if we made that connection clear or not. But yes, Naked Snake in Metal Gear Solid 3 is Big Boss from the first two Metal Gear games. And I guess that's kind of spoilers, except for, I don't know, if you look at the back of...
It's a really old game, right?
So yeah, and if you looked at the back of the box of any game that came out after Metal Gear Solid 3, it would say that. So it's like, I don't know. It's one of those things like, I don't know. I was going to try to come up with a good analogy, but
it's like we went ship shopping, and then there was no. I'm just kidding.
Ship shopping.
Ship shopping is hard to say, but it's fun.
Yeah.
I don't think you're spoiler territory, though. I think you're fine. I mean, that's okay. And you know what? If you are mad, you can email us at codexhistorypodcast@gmail.com.
That's right. I feel like if you could get the spoiler from the back of the box of the next one, and the game is also 15 years old, then I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's on them. Bad. I got really mad recently because I told you there's a feature article that came out in the New York Times about Kojima, and I was reading it, and I had told Tyler this in a text message. It spoiled Metal Gear Solid 2, just right in there. No warnings.
It was big spoilers too. It's still worth playing. I promise. That's not. That's not even the biggest twist in that game.
Big spoilers, but I'm still going to play it eventually, and I don't regret reading. It was a good article. I highly suggest if you don't care about spoilers or if you played those games, read the New York Times feature. It was good. It was great.
Yeah. That was really recent, wasn't it?
It was really a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're doing it to promote Death Stranding. Comes out on PC pretty soon, I think.
Did you ever play that?
No, it's too weird for me, I think.
All right. Well, now I got to play it.
I'll pick it up on Steam when it's like $5.
Oh, me too. That's a good idea.
I think that's kind of because I'm going to want to play it for like 15 minutes and be like, I don't know, this is too weird for me.
Hey, if you have an opinion,
feel bad.
If you have an opinion on us playing Death Stranding or not, email us at codexhistorypodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah. Anyway, the storyline for Portable Ops is that Big Boss is now he's working to create Outer Heaven because of events that happen at the end of Metal Gear Solid 3. He is disillusioned with the U.S. government, and he wants to create a place where soldiers are not used as pawns in war and for nations to just use and throw away. He was very upset with how things ended in Metal Gear Solid 3. I'm not going to spoil that, but he's very upset by that.
So he's kind of a good guy.
He's kind of a good guy, yeah. He goes about doing things in wrong ways, but his motivations they're understandable, especially once you get to the end of Metal Gear Solid 3. You're like, man, I totally understand why you would break away from the U.S. government and try to do your own thing. So he's trying to build...
What? Don't understand why he had to hire that creepy vampire dude to do it, but that's fine.
Yeah. Right. Well, it's weird.
Yeah. I get it though.
Yeah. So what he works to build, I don't think it's called this in Portable Ops, but it will eventually become Outer Heaven, which is the base that Solid Snake infiltrates in the very first Metal Gear. But it's going to take him at least 4 games to get there because he's not doing it at the end of this game. So anyway,
that's right.
Portable Ops takes the same general gameplay of earlier Metal Gear Solid games, especially Metal Gear Solid 3, the Subsistence version, because it has that new and improved camera that's like the behind over the shoulder camera instead of top down.
But revolutionary, right?
Right. They took that and they made the game based on that, and then they add one key new feature, the squad system. So Snake not only is no longer alone on his sneaking missions, he can take up to 3 other characters with him, but there's also a kind of metagame for building your army up and producing goods for them to use. So you have different units in your base, and when you recruit new soldiers, you can choose to put them in like the combat unit where they can go into battle with you, or you put them in like the mess hall, or you put them in like the medic bay, stuff like that. This stuff gets way more complicated in later Metal Gear games, but this was kind of the first one to have that. So the storyline at this point is that it's 1970, 6 years after Metal Gear Solid 3. Big Boss is disillusioned with government in general, but especially the U.S. government. So, like I said, after the events of Metal Gear Solid 3, he's pretty upset. He thinks that soldiers are too often used as pawns in larger schemes and then discarded or thrown away when it's convenient for their governments to do so. So that's kind of what he saw happen during Operation Snake Eater, and he didn't want it to happen to any soldiers ever again. So he set out to create a nation for soldiers. And this was in the 1970s, one where they'd always have a place and would never be set aside for larger goals. Anyway,
that sounds nice.
Yeah, he wants to build like a safe space for soldiers to go and be soldiers, I guess. I don't know. But he's got to take on members of the Fox unit who are after him. That's his old unit. So he's got a lot of help from his friends from Metal Gear Solid 3 because they are all suspected of treason. Plots are twisted, normal becomes paranormal, and general Metal Gear story shenanigans follow. It's great, and best of all, it's all canon, baby.
Oh, yeah. This is all in the story time for Tyler.
Yeah, so it's very important. It's also got really, really awesome cutscenes that are done in this cool, like, comic book style, and they're super beautiful. It's a style they would continue using in future portable entries to the system. And I gotta say, they're gorgeous. They're worth playing the game for alone, honestly. Even if they weren't canon, they'd still be pretty cool. So, yeah, dude. Throughout his journey, Snake can tranquilize and capture enemy soldiers and then carry them to a truck, and that's how he recruits them for his base. So each soldier has their own stats, and they can be put to use in different units in the base. Because not everybody's perfectly suited for combat, which is good because you need characters that are good at combat in your combat missions, because if they're not important to the story, they have permadeath if they die in a mission. So you want to make sure you're putting everybody in the right places, because otherwise you're going to have no more soldiers, and it's going to be really sad. Snake has to be alone again.
They can die?
Yeah.
That makes me sad.
It's very sad. And the player only controls one character at a time, and he can kind of swap between them by finding a hiding place and then getting into a cardboard box. So like I said before, different characters have different stats, so you may want to use a different person for sneaking than the person you use for shooting, stuff like that.
By the way, you just mentioned someone getting into a cardboard box. Like, it's totally normal. Like, it's a totally normal thing you do in all video games. Is that a thing?
Oh, yes. So this is a thing. I guess I must have glossed over this in all of Metal Gear stuff. That's a thing in Metal Gear, is cardboard boxes. It's like a motif, or it's like I guess at this point it's an inside joke. But almost every Metal Gear game has an item that you can get that's a cardboard box. And if you equip it, Snake gets under a cardboard box, and then enemies can't see him. If he's in this cardboard box and he's not moving, the enemies they don't know what's up.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's a really useful tip for when I play through Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah, you want those cardboard boxes so that you can like sneak around and stuff. It's really funny because if you move a little bit when you're a cardboard box and like somebody suspects you, they walk up, they'll kick the cardboard box off of you. It's really funny.
I love it.
Yeah, in every Metal Gear Solid game for sure, and it might go back further than Metal Gear Solid as well. They all have cardboard boxes. So yeah, it is a totally normal thing for the Metal Gear series for you to get into a cardboard box.
I had no idea until now.
Yeah, that must have been really weird.
You just said that
like,
so nonchalantly.
So casually, like, yeah, you just get into a cardboard box, no big deal.
Hey, it's what people do.
Yeah, cardboard boxes are canon. They're on the canon ship.
Love it.
But the coolest thing about portable ops that this game adds is that thing that Ghost Babel did for Game Boy Color. Everything is broken up into bite-sized missions. So something that would, like I said, that would continue on to all other portable entries in this series. So it's really easy to pick up and put down. And since you always know where you're at in the story and what needs to happen next. There are some main story missions which are needed to advance the story, but then there's also side missions that will get you more gear and other useful stuff that you need for the rest of the game. It's really clever, and I think it makes it really awesome to play on a portable system when you don't always have time to sit down for hours and like know where you're at. And sometimes you put it down, you don't come back to it for a while too. And so this helps you keep your place very easily.
That is super important.
Yeah. Portable Ops also had online multiplayer, similar to Metal Gear Online from Metal Gear Solid 3's Subsistence release, which allowed you to recruit players or soldiers from people you beat playing online, which is like playing Metal Gear for pink slips, and I think that is awesome.
That is really cool. We're playing for pink slips.
Yeah, so I'm taking soldiers. There was an expansion released for the game in late 2007 called Portable Ops Plus, which didn't require the base game to play. This one primarily focused on online play, but it did let you transfer your squad over from the original game. So that's neat. It's too bad the servers were shut down for Portable Ops Plus like years ago because that's the whole point of the game is playing online. So I don't know if you can play with your friends if you're offline or something, but yeah, that's it.
That is sad.
So it's like worthless game. Sucks. Now there's one more portable game that is worth covering, but I'm not going to cover it here because it probably deserves its own full episode, or at least more time here than we have in the rest of this episode. And that game I'm talking about is Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. Now it may be
Another cool subtitle.
Yeah, it's great. It may be a PSP game, but it's just as important to the storyline as any other mainline Metal Gear game. The Portable Ops games, while they're canon, I don't know if I would say they're super important to the storyline because they just kind of they're things that happened, but they're just like the actions there don't necessarily reverberate throughout the series the way they do. But Peace Walker is different. And I remember years before Metal Gear Solid 5 was even a twinkle in his eye, around the time that Peace Walker was coming out, Kojima had said that Peace Walker was the real Metal Gear Solid 5. So it's awesome.
That's quite the pitch. Quite the sales pitch.
It's really, really, really good, and you should play it, and I'm going to talk about it in a future episode. But for now, Mike, what you been playing?
Well, I've had a weird week. I'm quarantined. I feel like most people listening to this, maybe you're going through this right now where you have to be at home alone. So I've been playing a lot of video games as a positive spin on that. But I picked up Skyrim again, just like I'm feeling it, you know? Yeah. I really feel it. I feel good about it. I'm really into it, and I just like playing it, so I've been playing that every once in a while. Also bought on Steam XCOM 2 after a recommendation from someone from this very podcast, Nam, who's emailed us before, recommended it to me, and I'm loving that too. It's just super hard.
Yeah.
Like I need to talk to him about it. Be like, can you like hit me to a XCOM 2 boot camp and teach me all the ropes so I can beat this game, please? That's what I need.
Gotta get good.
I also played Call of Duty Warzone.
Mm-hmm. And we've talked about your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. The plunder mode is fun, but then I'm playing the plunder mode, and I'm like, why am I playing this? I just feel that the whole time. Like with Apex, it's super simple. I know what I'm doing. There's so much stuff going on in Call of Duty, and I didn't buy Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the reboot that came out last year, and because of that, I feel super behind. Like I feel like I don't know what's going on, and I don't really enjoy it. I'll play it a couple times, I'm probably going to play it again with some friends at some point, but I just really am like, I'm not going to pay for anything for this service. It just feels like one big ad for either buying the game or buying the battle pass, and I'm not into it. It almost feels like a cell phone game, like that amount of pop-ups.
Oh yeah, when you get into the game, it's like you got to close out of like 10 different things. I hate that.
Yeah, I don't like that for a console release, and I don't want to condone that behavior as a consumer. Not into it.
I'm with you on that.
But what have you been playing?
Well, I also picked up Call of Duty Warzone for the PC. I don't see quite as many ads as you for the main game because I did buy the main game back a few months ago. But I am not as into the Battle Royale genre as you are, and I haven't played a whole lot of Apex or other things. So I checked it out. I had fun. I played a couple games of it. I had fun with it. I love the gulag system.
That
where
is
when you
the
die,
best thing about the whole game.
You get to 1v1 to try to get back into it. You play other people who have died, and if you win your 1v1, you get to redeploy, and I think that is so cool.
I want them to make a just gulag tournament where it automatically puts you into a bracket and you just 1v1 over and over and over again.
I think that the main game has that game mode. It's called, I can't remember what the game mode's called, but they have that where it's basically 1v1. I think it's also, maybe they have a 2v2 mode too, where it's like really, really small teams.
I love it. I had so much fun doing the 1v1. I actually liked dying in Battle Royale and going to the gulag. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. I've been playing a lot of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 specifically.
Oh, you told me about this. This is impressive. You need to tell the team.
I stayed up probably till like 3 or 3:30 in the morning. I 100%ed Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 on a custom character. So I did every single objective. I got all of the cash icons in every level so that I could unlock Spider-Man, and I did it in one sitting. And so that's how good I am at Tony Hawk 2, I guess. But it took me a long time because I stayed up till like 3:30, and I haven't touched it since.
So proud of you. That's an achievement.
It was awesome. It's not an achievement because it's an original Xbox game, and there were no achievements then.
But I think it's an achievement in our hearts. We all know you achieved something that night.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
If you didn't get the Chivo, did it really happen?
Oh, man. Now it's just stories.
Yeah.
Now it's just like fishing stories.
I know. So yeah, I was playing, that's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2X, which was a launch title for the original Xbox, and it's like an enhanced version of Tony Hawk 2 with also levels from Tony Hawk 1, which is pretty neat. It's definitely the definitive version of Tony Hawk 2, if you ask me. Although the Dreamcast version is also very good. So there's that, and I haven't started it up yet, but I've been really, really thinking about starting up the Mass Effect series again. It's been a long time since I played Mass Effect, and I want to play it again. I want to play the whole series again.
Never played 3.
It's worth playing, especially now that they added some stuff onto the ending and there's all the DLC and stuff. I think the story is still kind of a bummer at the end. I don't know what people expected though. Like I don't know how they could have ended it. It's one of those things where they just built it up so much that it's just like I don't even know what you could have done that would have been satisfying. But the game is really solid. Like if you like Mass Effect 2, the gameplay of Mass Effect 3 is great. It's better. It's everything that's in Mass Effect 2 is just better. And the storyline is just kind of where it kind of goes off the rails a little bit. But
I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it eventually. I'm going to put it on the Trello board. It's going to happen.
Yeah. Been really considering that. And then I've also been considering getting into the Assassin's Creed series. But
that series gets repetitive for me. That was my only issue with it, is I got really tired of doing the same mission. I bought Black Flag.
Yeah.
And I was super excited to be a pirate. No, this sounds great, you know?
Yeah.
All these ships have
all
cannons.
the cannons.
Yeah, it feels great. But then it just got like you're doing a follow mission like 8 times in a row. I'm like, this is just boring to me, you know?
Yeah, and I think if I try to like play a whole bunch of them in a row, I'll probably get sick of them too. But I never played the original one.
The original one was cool because it was like super history based.
Yeah,
like,
I feel like
really
all
liked
of
it.
the older ones are much more history. Well, even now, like you've got the Egypt and like
I've heard
Greek
Odyssey
stuff.
is just straight up like an RPG.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard, and I heard it's really good. I really want to play Odyssey. Actually,
Yeah, I've heard that it's the series is different at Origins, and then Odyssey is the same kind of thing. It's different, but still really, really good. So I don't know. I'm gonna check it out.
Do it.
I remember when the first Assassin's Creed came out, and that was the first game that I saw on Xbox 360, or I guess it was PS3. My friend had bought it for PS3, and I was like, "This is next generation. This is what video games look like now." And I mean, I guess I was mostly right, but I remember that was like, there's a clear breaking point there. I was like, "This game is different from anything else I've played."
You certainly weren't wrong. It's true. At the time, it was like, whoa, mind blowing.
Maybe we'll do a history of Assassin's Creed if I play all those games.
Yeah, who knows? Do you want to read some emails? We got some emails.
Yeah, let's read some emails.
Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
I'll go first. I got one from Matt in Japan, my good buddy Matt.
Oh, we love Matt.
The subject of this is real-life Mario Kart. He says, "Hey, Mike and Tyler, in Tokyo, Japan, there is a tour company called Maricar that allows guests to experience a real-world Mario Kart experience by driving through the streets of Tokyo on Mario Kart-esque go-karts. For an additional fee, guests can also rent Mario character onesies to wear to enhance their Mario Kart experience, which sounds awesome.
Amazing.
Someday when I visit Japan, I'm doing this.
We got to do it.
Yeah. However, he goes on, over the years, there have been multiple traffic accidents involving these go-karts, including a hit and run on a bicyclist. In 2017, Nintendo sued the company, namely on the basis that the company is in no way affiliated with Nintendo, and then used their characters without approval. Nintendo won the suit in 2018 and was awarded 10 million yen, which is about $89,000. Additionally, Mario Kart was forced to rebrand as Mario Mobility and had to stop renting out costumes resembling Mario characters, Nintendo characters, and had to explicitly state on their website and on the vehicles themselves that they are unrelated to Nintendo. Despite the lawsuit, yeah, I mean, I guess if there are traffic accidents and there's some company that's like using your characters and having traffic accidents, you're like, that would feel pretty bad. I can understand why Nintendo would feel bad.
Nintendo should have just bought them. You know, that's what Nintendo could have done. They could have just bought it and then been like, there's no problems anymore, and we're going to make things safer, you know, or something.
Yeah, that's what they could have done, but they chose not to. Despite the lawsuit, Mario Mobility continued their business as usual, but instead of renting out Nintendo character costumes, they would rent out Disney characters, superheroes, minions, and other non-Nintendo costumes.
Like everything else. That's fantastic.
In 2019, Mario Mobility later appealed the fine of paying 10 million yen. Whoa. I got my yen and dollars mixed up. So they would appeal that fine of 10 million yen, $89,000, prompting Nintendo to double down and take the company to Japan's Intellectual Property High Court. Nintendo won this suit as well and increased the amount that Mario Mobility had to pay from 10 million yen to 50 million yen, about $458,000.
Mario Mobility goofed. Oh,
wow.
No.
Finally, while the dream of experiencing real-life Mario Kart may seem dead, there is hope. The brand new Super Nintendo World area of the Universal Studios Japan in Osaka will have a Mario Kart attraction that sounds pretty cool.
Oh my goodness. We got to time it. We should go together, visit Matt in Japan, and go play go-karts at Super Nintendo World. Throwing it out there.
Yeah.
There's apparently this street in a city in Japan that's just like all retro video game stores, where you can find like all sorts of crazy used stuff. I forgot what it's called. Matt knows probably 100%. And I've always wanted to go there.
That sounds awesome. Let's do it like after traveling is not restricted anymore.
Yeah, obviously. But like Super Famicom, like things like that. Like, it looks so cool.
Matt has a postscript on his email, which is, perhaps you guys could do an episode on the Mario Kart Alpha theory. This theory was proposed by the late Ryan Davis of Giant Bomb, which states, within a certain margin of error, the first Mario Kart game that you play will always be your favorite. And the theory can also apply to other series. What do you guys think?
Ooh, that's really good. Do we want to do a whole episode on it, or do I want to just say a brief hot take?
Let's get your lukewarm take.
You knew it was lukewarm. I disagree, because while my first Mario Kart ever was Mario Kart 64, which I love, Double Dash is my favorite Mario Kart. Hands down.
Well, there you go. Myth busted.
Yeah, no offense to that theory, because I do think that theory definitely applies. Like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1, first Tony Hawk I ever played, and it's still my favorite, 100%.
Yeah.
But for Mario Kart, I have so many good memories with Double Dash, too. And we'll talk about it. When I do Double Dash next week, we'll talk about it. So
yeah, my lukewarm take is generally correct, although I don't think it applies to me either, because my first one was Super Mario Kart, and while I love that game, I think my favorite is still Mario Kart 64.
Oh, so you're going with 64. You're not going with Double Dash as your favorite. Interesting.
No, I don't think so. I played a lot of Double Dash. I don't know, man. It's hard. I also really like Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U and Switch.
See, yeah, and I had so much fun playing the Wii one. Was that 7?
Yeah.
That was
it's just Mario Kart Wii.
With the wheel. Oh, I loved it. So it's hard. That's a really hard question, because I do love 64, but I think Double Dash is my favorite.
Yeah.
Do you want me to do an email?
Sure.
This one's called Blue Shell. It's from Carter, from Texas. Carter's in Texas. Guys.
All right, Carter in Texas.
Seriously, love the podcast. It is exactly what I'm looking for, and could listen to episodes multiple times. So good. Thank you, Carter. Anywho, I always thought the Blue Shell was a guaranteed hit. Not always the case, and you may address this in this episode about Mario Kart 8. But if you are holding the soundbox item and use it right as the shell is about to hit you, it will destroy it without affecting you. Also, if you hit a banana and are still in the frames for the animation, it will hit you, but it will not. You won't take the damage. Oh, wow. You can continue right after the animation for hitting the banana is over. If y'all are ever in Texas, you will have a friend. Oh, that's so nice. You may call me Carter from Texas. Thank you, Carter from Texas. That's good to know. That's some great information.
That is good information, yeah.
I don't know if we're going to do that Mario Kart 8, because is that the newest one? That's the one on Switch, right? So we probably won't. So that's just some great advice from Carter. Thank you, Carter.
Yeah. Okay, we got an episode here from Ryan in Minnesota. He says, "Hey dudes, Ryan here from Minnesota, since you love to know where all your fans are from.
We do want to know where people are from.
Super stoked that you did some Mario Kart action, as it seems we are on the same page yet again. I just picked up Double Dash on Friday to play over the weekend for my boy's first birthday, nieces and nephews over, and boy, did I not miss, 'Hi, I'm Daisy.' Oh, I wish I knew how she says that. 'Hi, I'm Daisy.' Over and over.
What's that from?
It must be in Double Dash. She must say that a lot.
Oh, man.
Or maybe you can trigger it so it's like, 'Hi, I'm Daisy. Hi, I'm Daisy.
Hi, I'm Daisy.' I'll find that. I'm going to drop this in.
I'm going to look it up on
I'm going to
YouTube.
drop it in right now. Hi, I'm Daisy. It just happened. We just did it.
Great.
I just dropped it in the episode. That was crazy.
Nice. And also, I bought Mario Kart 64 on the Wii U. Plays amazing, but still not quite the same feel as the N64. Couple things for Tyler. Which model did you mod for the 360? Which path did you go for the mod? I'm looking to mod one of my extra ones I picked up recently, but not sure which way to go. Thanks, guys. Still #1 gaming podcast. Oh, thanks, Ryan in Minnesota. So, for my 360 mod, I have a Slim 360. It's one of the earlier Slim ones, so not the E model. It is the motherboard revision, which this doesn't mean anything to anybody who is not trying to mod their Xbox. But the motherboard is a Trinity motherboard, and I did the RGH mod with a Matrix V1 chip with the Muffin 7.1 timing file on it. And I find that to be, the timing on it is okay. Sometimes it boots really fast, other times it takes like a minute to boot. But I highly recommend, if you are considering doing this, go to weekendmodder.com. That guy has everything that you need to do a mod. He'll help you. His site helps you identify which Xbox you have, what kinds of mods you can do, and then guaranteed he's got a video of himself doing whatever mod you're trying to do for your Xbox. So I highly, highly recommend it. So yeah,
that's good. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Ryan, Minnesota. Knowing where you're from feels good.
Yeah. Our
final email is from Will, but we don't know where Will's from. It's a mystery to us, which is fine. You don't have to tell us where you live. It's totally okay. Will says, "Hey guys, just writing to say that I love your podcast." Oh, thank you so much. I started listening last summer and finally caught up. You guys are officially part of my podcast loop, and even when I don't think that I'll care about the subject you're talking about, I end up thinking it's rad. Looking at you, Earthworm Jim. That's so true. Oh, I feel honored to be in the podcast loop. It's a hard loop to break into, Will's podcast.
Sure is.
Loop. It's like I'm having a beer with you guys talking about what tragedy it is that they stopped making the Chex games.
It is a tragedy.
It is a tragedy.
I love those Chex games.
And I would drink a beer with you over that, because that's a subject near and dear to our heart. Everyone knows. Chex Quest for life. Keep up the great work. Also, if you read this out loud, please redact my last name. I already did. I'm a pro. I am a pro, Will.
Well done.
We're going to say Will from Redacted. That's where Will's from. All right. Thank you, Will, for the email. Also, loving Earthworm Jim, because I set a soft spot in my heart for Earthworm Jim. That's the episode for the day, though. We did a great job.
That's it.
Not to pat ourselves on the back or anything, but I thought we really nailed all those emails and answered the questions.
Especially those ship jokes.
And all those canon jokes. I mean, where do you go for all your canon-based material?
You go to the ship shop.
The ship shop at codexhistorypodcast@gmail.com. You can also rate, review, and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. It means the world to us if you do. And I think that's it, Tyler. You want to say bye to everybody?
Yeah, goodbye, everybody.